Hey guys, over here for our Buying a House in Japan playlist. Very occasionally we get a sort of a musty wet smell in the bathroom, in the room that has the bath in it. So it's only occasionally, it's not real bad, but just sort of curious. So got the Unskilled Plumber to have a look, suspecting perhaps there wasn't a U bend in the pipe and might be letting air flow back up from the drain back up into the bathroom. Now the drain that it drains into only has kitchen water and bath water in it, and the bath water of course is clean because Japanese style bath, you clean before you get in, you don't put soap in the bath. So with that in mind, just curious to see if there's no U-bend. So the screws were rusty that hold this inspection panel, so screwed off the heads, slightly bigger drill bit than the shaft of the screw, drill off the heads just to get access. Bit surprised how small that hole was, surprised and disappointed. Hoped for a bigger hole, but basically all that was there for was to give access to these 2 points in the bath that were for an external heater. So it's quite common in Japan because Japanese people spend so much time floating in the bath, they'll have external heaters on their baths to keep the water warm, which obviously was never installed on this bath. Or if it was removed. But look at this. The water comes out the bottom of the bath and then it free falls to a drain hole below it. So they've basically put the bath inside a concrete sarcophagus, I don't know, a concrete hole with the drain at the bottom, and the water just falls down and there's nothing we can do about it. You can't get anything in there. There's nothing you can do. There's no way to sort of work on that. There's nothing you sort of do. And even if you did fit some sort of dodgy flexible pipe between the plug hole and the drain, it still wouldn't stop the flow of air going back up the other way. So we have found that this musty smell's pretty rare, and when it does happen, the solution is we found that if we put leave the plug in the bath, the smell doesn't come up. So obviously now we know why. So now we've got to get those screw shafts back out of those holes. So sort of drilling them out. They're in wall plugs, so sort of drilling them out, drill bit, pulling those screws back a bit to give us something to get a grip on, and then get a grip on them and then twist them out. So not much we can do. Thought about it a fair bit after inspecting it, gave it a lot of thought, like what could we do? There's a few options that we could squeeze in there, but nothing that's going to make much difference really. What it really needs is a U-bend in the pipe, and there's no real way to get it. There's not enough drop from the plug hole of the bath. The only way to do it would be a huge project, and it's just not worth it. You know, we've got to keep this in mind with the old house, that eventually when we sell it, someone's going to demolish it. So it's not worth rebuilding the bathroom to solve this occasional musty problem. And also in that space in there, it appears that in between the baths, you know, in between people taking baths, that it does seem to dry out. And because the water's clean, there's no mold in there, there's nothing growing in there, it's clean. It is clean in there. So it's not really a big problem. But we'd figure it might benefit from getting some airflow. So with that in mind, on this access panel, just going to mark out the shape of that hole and give it some flowing air through it to see if that helps. So yeah, it's just not worth it. The only way would be to like rebuild the bathroom, pull the bath out and set it up higher and get a U into it, or dig down deeper, or can't really go deeper because the flow of the pipe can't go lower. So not really a big problem. It was just more of curiosity than anything else. Why is it we get this musty smell in the bathroom? Now and again, it's pretty rare, but now and again this musty smell, and now we know it's not actually that cavity in there that smells, it's just the smell coming from the drain. And again, the drain, that drain there is only draining the kitchen water and the bath water, and the kitchen water is pretty good because we have sort of nets and sort of a sort of strainer system, Japanese style. We showed you that before. It's pretty normal in Japanese kitchens to have a sort of a strainer net type system in the sinkhole, and it stops anything sort of going down there. So really it's only water going down there anyway. The bath water's clean. So it's not a bad smell, it's just a bit musty. You know, it's not a big deal. But this might help a bit. The idea is cut a hole out of this, let some ventilation get through underneath there. Checked it out actually a day or so later after this job, and nobody had had a bath for 24 hours, because sometimes people have baths in this household and sometimes they just have showers. So nobody had had a bath for 24 hours or 36 hours or something, and it was actually dry in that space. So it does seem to dry out in between baths, which seems to be enough to keep anything from growing in there. So up the top there, we have a stash of insect screen. Some of you might remember insect screen jobs going on for quite some time. We did every window of every building at one stage. That was a lot of insect screen work. So there's a few leftover bits. So I found a leftover bit that's about the right size. First plan was to actually use silicone, but it was like, well, we don't really need to do that because this thing's going to be screwed back to the wall. So just need something that's going to keep the net taut and in place. And then once it's screwed back to the wall, the actual panel itself is going to hold the net in place. So instead of mucking around with silicone or something similar, it's like just tape it. Gaff tape, magic gaff tape. Because once you screw it to the wall, the gaff tape and the net will be held in place, and that'll be the end of that. Keep it simple. Keep it simple is good. So yeah, now we know, not really a worry. And that sort of thing's not uncommon in Japan. Some of you will remember that the water from the kitchen and the bathroom used to go down an open drain between the two neighbouring houses and down to the street, and that's really common. Our friend's house does the same thing. There's an open drain that runs from the bathroom and the kitchen, runs an open drain that runs out to the street and goes into the storm water drain, and that's really common. That doesn't include the toilet, of course. It's just water from the bathroom, water from the kitchen, and that's still really common all around Japan. The water will run out to a storm water drain out in the street, or out in the gutter first and then into a storm water drain, and then just run straight out into the river and the ocean. So that's why they're big on the filters and the strainers and things in their drain, at the sinkholes in the sinks, to stop chunky bits going out, basically. Sorry, guys. Sorry for the imagery. So that's why finding this was a little bit surprising. Finding the way it was set up was a little bit surprising, but not really. Not really. In some countries that'd be illegal, wouldn't it? But here it's not. You know, in a place where they've still got open drains running around the place with bath and kitchen water, it's not terribly unusual to find that situation. So it's okay. Pretty happy with now knowing exactly what's going on under there, and then, you know, having given it a bit of ventilation, that's got to help. It'll help it dry out a little bit more in between baths. And, you know, it's been like that obviously for 30, 40, 50 years, and it's not a problem in there. So anyway, now we know. More videos coming soon.